brought up this term called surge capacity. So if you think about it in the effect that most of us know at least like what our business's surge capacity is. If you work in healthcare, you often know what the capacity of your emergency room is. Let's just use that as an example because it's been a prime one here in our day and age. But physically and emotionally, we all have our own surge capacities. We all have our own almost like a tipping point. How much can we take?
I am J.M. McNeill.
And I'm Norriss.
And we are here to talk about how you can live life well. All right. So we are in an interesting time today, right? We are how many months into COVID?
Oh my gosh, like coming up on 9 to 10. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. So obviously we have all been affected by COVID, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. Megan, how have you been directly affected by COVID?
Yeah. So in our house, I have a 5 and an 8-year-old boys. So in third grade virtual learning, all been happening here since last March, almost 10 months, other than, subtract out the summers. Working remotely, my husband works remotely. A lot of time all in the same house together for our family. How about you, JM?
Yeah, it's been an interesting time. So I'm in the house most of the day, working. My coworkers are dogs and turtles.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Right. So it's interesting. I don't get to see my actual coworkers as much, except for, via WebEx, Zoom, any other virtual platform. So it's really odd. So there's not a lot of like social connections going on, I would say. Um, Not a lot of being outside in stores just because of precautions, safety. And I don't really get to see my family as much as I normally would, especially like over the past holidays. So it's very interesting and a weird time, tough time kind of for everyone, definitely. So I know over the last probably, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, you talked about surge capacity and um, how COVID has affected surge capacity. Can you tell us what exactly surge capacity is and how that works?
Yeah, so a couple months back, I was reading an article that someone wrote, and her psychologist kind of brought up this term called surge capacity. So if you think about it in the effect that most of us know at least like what our business's surge capacity is. If you work in healthcare, you often know what the capacity of your emergency room is. Let's just use that as an example because it's been a prime one here in our day and age. But physically and emotionally, we all have our own surge capacities. We all have our own almost like a tipping point. How much can we take? And our current environments have led us into a lot of chronic stressors and chronic stress happening, where we're really used to acute type of stress. Like we're used to things happening and then we can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel and then we can move through it and get to that, the other side of it. And we have been hit with a lot of chronic stress, with a lot of changes, a lot of adapt to new and different things in our current environment. And at the same rate, we're also not actually able to see that clear light at the end of the tunnel or the day when this is all going to be over with. So I think it's really important for us to become aware of what our surge capacity is or what our capacity is physically and emotionally, and also understand that that's very different. So what mine is different from JM's, and what JM's is very different from somebody else. We all have a different amount that we can deal with when it comes to stress.
Yeah, definitely. So I heard a lot about stress, right? A lot of stress, and you talking about stressors. Talk to us a little bit about what stressors are and how. I know you said that is different for everyone. Just give us a bigger picture of what stressors are.
Yeah, so different different stressors hit us in different ways, but a stressor is a thing that's kind of introduced into an environment, and that can be a positive or negative stress. So there's two different kinds. You can have the birth of a baby, a marriage, job promotion, all that's positive stress. At the same rate, we can have a lot of negative stress. And I think a lot of us would probably say in the last year, we probably had a bit more of our negative stressors than positive stressors, especially because a lot of things get canceled. That could have been a positive one. But with all that said, it still feeds our emotional and our capacity the same way. So we introduce that stressor into our environment, our bodies, and mentally and emotionally and physically. And then that lets us see from there, we kind of end up having physical reactions. You might not be able to sleep very well, go up. You might have more headaches. Different things like that can all occur. And our bodies have these two kind of phases that they go into: fight or flight. Yes. So that fight or flight is that inner built within us, right? To kind of where the heart rate increases. Just feel like we're reaching that boiling point, and what we need to do is work our way over to the rest and digest phase, where our nervous system is kind of resetting, and that's where it becomes really important to have some kind of resilience or self-care toolbox of some sort to really help us get to that rest and digest phase.
Yeah, definitely. So, resilience toolbox. What is that? How do we do it? Talk to us about it.
Yeah. So your toolbox, think of it as for starters, like what do you have in your garage or in a toolbox in your house that's gonna, fix a picture that's fallen off the wall, fix a hole in the wall. We all need, we have car maintenance. How do we take care of our cars? We keep them maintained, right? We get oil changes and things like that. So when we think about our own toolbox, what's in your toolbox? And today, it might look a little bit different than what's normally been there, because sometimes it's not always really felt safe to go get, well, I used to, go get a manicure and a pedicure is what some people would say, or I used to get a massage, or I used to go do this. And it might not be safe or feel safe, or we might not be in that comfort zone to do those certain activities or those certain things that were in our toolbox before. So taking that time to step back right now and really think about, well, what is it that's in my toolbox that I'm missing, or what do I need? And I think there's a lot of great things that can be free that could be in that toolbox too.
Well, talk to us about these free things, because we like free.
We all like the word free, right? So I'll go through a couple things at least, and I'll start with meditation. So meditation's a big one. It's whatever you want to call it. It's a big buzzword in the wellness industry, right? But really what it means is oftentimes it just means just taking a step back, a moment to pause. So we can kind of be caught up in the crazy slew of emails that's coming in, or the madness that might be happening around us if we're at work and it's just really busy. But what if you were able just to kind of take a moment to pause, to step back, take a breather, and then kind of move through? That will often help you not overreact, which is ultimately what mindfulness is accessing that ability to pause and kind of reflect before we overreact to a situation at hand. And it often makes us even more aware, too, of everything else that's going on around us, including other people's well-being. Another really good one is sometimes to just breathe. As minute as it sounds, what's the first thing you do when you get stressed out? To breathe. I don't know what you do, right? Like you're kind of like, you tense up, your shoulders get tense, right? They draw up towards your ears, and then you're like, I'm not even breathing. To breathe, and sometimes it's a sigh of relief. So physically, and in your nervous system, science shows in a couple different studies, it's shown that if you took like 4 deep breaths, it can reset your central nervous system. So 4 big inhales, everybody, you can do one with me at least. And then a big exhale. Kind of like your shoulders fall away from your ears. And that's even kind of like a little bit of a mindfulness thing, right? Because then we become more aware of like, wow, I didn't realize my shoulders were up to my ears. My neck was really tense, and no wonder I had a headache. Another really good one is physical activity. So movement has shown, or we can call it movement meditation. It doesn't have to be like really strenuous. It definitely can be free. Sometimes it's taking a walk outside your door, going down the sidewalk a couple of feet, or a full walk or run, or if you exercise, then you do your routine or whatever that regimen might be. But It doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes just moving, it gives you a chance to step away. And it's also been shown as pretty much like the number one thing that can help reset your nervous system and kick you over towards that rest and digest stage even quicker than some of the other tools that I've shared today.
Awesome. So getting some movement in with exercise, doing some meditation, and some breathing are all free things to do to help you, right? So you can add those to your resilience toolbox. All right. So I heard you say something about getting a manicure and pedicure. And I always say that every now and then I like to do it every now and then, right? It's a part of my self-care, right?
Mm-hmm.
So talk to us a little bit about self-care and what we can do to add some self-care to our life.
Yeah. The things I just mentioned, but all in all, there's also a really quick and easy checklist that you can kind of do for yourselves. So sometimes it's just asking yourself a couple quick questions, and you could call it mindfulness, you could call it whatever you want to call it, but some quick questions. So I'll just kind of ask those out loud here. Our listeners, you guys, I want you just to think through these questions real quick, and don't think through them too hard. These are also questions that aren't, they don't have any expectations to them. There's no expected answer out of them that's not right or wrong. And it's not meant for you to fix it. It's meant for you to become aware of maybe what you've done or not done in the last 24 hours. But think to yourself, how much water have you drank? Just plain water in the last 24 hours. I can tell you for me, it's been a cup of coffee or two. How about you, J.M.? Have you had water?
Yes, I've had coffee. I did just have a cup of water, but yeah, I have to do better today.
Yeah, me too, actually. Now that I called it out, I do need to do better. How about how much sleep have you had in the last 24 hours? There hasn't been, 8 hours of sleep at least in the last 24 hours.
According to my watch,
so a lot of,
yes.
There you go. So those activity trackers and sleep trackers can come in real handy. When was the last time you ate? How many hours has it been? Yeah, so many people. I think I had breakfast at 6:30 this morning, or I wasn't really hungry when I got up. Actually, the last time I ate was dinner last night, and here we're time today. Wow. Yeah, so it's really ideal for you to eat, every 3 to 4 hours if you can, to keep fueling yourself, right? That leads to more stress when we're hungry. Or in family, we call it hangry. I don't know what y'all call it, but that's hungry and angry all together. Not pretty. When was the last, or have you taken your medicines you needed in the last 24 hours? That might even include like an ibuprofen because you had a really bad migraine or headache.
Well, thanks for calling me out, Megan.
No. Then the last one is, how do you feel right now? Do you feel any pain? Do you feel hungry? Do you feel angry? Do you feel happy? Do you feel worried? So just taking note, like, how do you feel? I think for me right now, I feel kind of excited and just some different things going on, but those feelings can change throughout the day. But again, nothing on those answers, right or wrong, simply awareness type questions.
Awareness. I like that. I think that is my word for this year. I try to do one word that describes like my entire year, what I want to be intentional on, like what I want to focus on. And awareness is my word for this year. Right? Mark that down.
I love it.
Hold me accountable. I'm going to
put it where you can see it.
Right.
Put it on that bathroom mirror.
Right. So we are at the end of our show, unfortunately, but there will be more to come. Before we end, we want to do our section or our segment called Blitz Questions. All right, Megan, I just have 3 questions for you. All right, just so we can get to know you more. Right?
Okay.
First question: what's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Yes. What kind? What kind of pizza?
Mushroom and onion.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say like cheese pizza or I don't know. Okay.
No.
Mushroom and onion. So what is your favorite thing to drink?
Well, if I'm going to answer honestly, it's wine. But I do love water is really what I drink like all day long. And coffee in the morning. Gotta have your coffee.
You
So
have
maybe
to
there's
have
more than one
coffee.
thing there.
All right, cool. All right, so what's one thing people do not know about you?
One thing people don't know about me, I would have to say I was a competitive horseback rider all through a lot of middle school and high school. So that was a favorite pastime.
That's cool. Awesome, awesome. So you really enjoy that, I assume.
Yes, yeah. If
Awesome.
I could afford it, I'd be back doing it again. Quite expensive
I
though.
actually want to try it. I think I'd be a little afraid. I don't know. That's cool though. All right. Well, I am J.M. again, and
And I'm Megan.
we have talked to you guys about how you can live life well. Stay tuned for our next show. We will be talking about a number of different things, and thank you.